Welcome people, you done your boy Kamani Brown, and today we're going to be speaking about if you need the DualSense Edge. I can guarantee for 90 to 95% of you people out there, no you do not, right? Especially for the price. This thing costs 200 bones. But for people like me, who really and truly, the main advantage for me are these extra back buttons here. I really and truly could have done without spending 200 bucks with simply building my own custom PS5 controller. And you heard me right, I don't know who can tell which one of these is stock and which one is custom. But this one is a custom controller. Everything here is the same, but on the back, it's all different here. This is a customized controller done by yours truly, all thanks to these guys from ExtremeRate yet again. Yes, people, we are continuing in this series of custom controllers for the PS5. Now, this is my launch controller, so this is the true original controller. And here I have 2 extra buttons here, just the same as 2 on the DualSense Edge here, right? And guys, this thing is awesome. Cost me a fraction of the price. A brand new controller is about 70 bucks. This kit here can run you about $40, give or take, depending if they're on sale or not. And combined, I get, I kid you not, the same experience as this thing. Ergonomically, yes, I'll even go as far as to say this feels even better. The controller is lighter and these buttons feel a lot nicer in the hand. It follows the contours of the controller a fair bit better. They're a lot more tactile and clicky, and they just feel more purposeful in the hand. As a matter of fact, even with this protruding piece here, which houses the mechanism for the buttons to work, it actually creates a little nestled area here for your finger to rest naturally, so you can press. So you really and truly don't miss anything. Versus with this, you know, your fingers have free range. You can easily, you know, slide the fingers all around or whatever. Pick your poison, but really and truly, I like how this feels. It also comes with a custom grip here built into the back shell as well. I love that. The only thing you're missing out, of course, are the adjustable triggers, those function buttons, and the removable sticks. But for the price, even if anything goes wrong with this, you could still buy another controller and one of these and still spend less than one of these. You could, so it really doesn't matter, people. Now, in this video, I'm going to be going in detail how to install one of these on this bad boy right here, right? Now, this one is the plastic set. What I have here is the metal set. Now it comes in a fairly standard silver color, and here you have the paddles themselves, all metal, very solid. Now before I begin, just a little note here. This is the 2-button variant, but they also have a 4-button variant. I didn't need that really and truly. I'm good with 2 buttons here, but of course I'll leave a link in the description below for you guys to check out the 4-button variant if you're interested. Moving on. Now this is everything that you get in the box. The back plate, of course, the metal extra buttons, all the screws that you may need, a pry tool, a screwdriver that's the right size for the screws, and these, which are really and truly how we're going to connect and weave everything together so that you can actually set those custom buttons on the fly. This is pretty much everything you need to do everything. The only thing that you may want to pay attention to, of course, are these. Depending on which controller you have, you'll have to do a little bit of research to see which controller you own. I currently have the original DualSense, so mine is the BDM010 that you see right there. So I'll be cutting off all these extra bits and pieces here. But regardless of which model you have, ExtremeRate has you covered. So I will now begin by cutting off the unnecessary portions. And then I'm gonna have to run for that thing. Running, cut this part out because I am running for the scissors. Pardon rusty scissors, peeps, But let's begin here. Now, yet again, pay attention to which side you are to cut. I only need this portion for the BDM 101, so I'm cutting off these BDM 020 portions. So be careful to cut right along these dotted lines here. If you mess this up, at least half of the kit is pretty much useless. That's because these two portions cater specifically to the triggers and allow you to set the custom buttons to replicate the triggers themselves. But anyway, let's just get straight down into this. Now you carefully cut along these dotted lines here. And this one here. There we go. So that takes care of this one. This one is a little tricky because, you know, you have that one. It's very close. So I recommend using the very end of the scissors very carefully. Bam, that is gone. And that's it for this piece, right? So now both of these are ready. I'm going to set them aside until we get to this part of the installation, which is not right now. Now we're moving to the more advanced part, and that's dismantling this thing here. Let's begin. First, you want to remove this part here, this black strip. You can use the included pry tool here and start pulling here. However, your fingernails work just as good if they're long enough. So you get a good grip right here, you pull it up. Do the same with the other side here. And then you just start working your fingers along on both sides. Till you get to here. Be careful of these corners here. Be very careful and move slow. Once you get everything here pried up, you're going to just want to gently pull it away. Just like that, and it comes right out. Be very careful because of these little pointy bits here. You don't want these to break in the whole process. And here you go. Now you see two screws here, right? We need two more. And they're found here behind the R1 and L1 buttons. That's where the pry tool definitely comes in. You stick it right here below. You use your other finger to hold it so that it doesn't fly away, and you gently lift it up. You're supposed to hear it pop right out. Let's take care of the R1 here. Bam, bam. And it's out. That reveals the other two screws, one here and one here. So that's 4 screws in total. Now, going back to my handy dandy screwdriver. And that's 4. Now, after pulling those 4 screws, you're going to want to pull these 2 clips here on the front of the controller. Be very careful not to break them. There you go. That should get the process going there. Once you pull these 2, and then you start to move along here. This portion here can be very stubborn. Very stubborn, people. And there you go, right open. What you're going to want to do, first of all, of course, is to plug out the battery. So yet again, you could use your pry tool and simply ease up each corner of the connection until it breaks free. And there you go, it's out. Next up, you want to plug out all of these connections here for the trackpad, the L1 and R1 connections here, and for the microphone and speaker here. So let's begin with the microphone connection. Okay, now that this is out of the way, you're going to move on to removing this back plate here for the battery. You have to remove this single screw right in there. Next up, you're going to want to remove all of these ribbon cables here. Let's go to the microphone cable right here to remove that. The L2 and R2 connection. Be very gentle with this, people. Very, very gentle, very careful. You don't want to break those ribbons. The R2 and R1 ribbon cable right here. carefully. It's out. And of course, the trackpad ribbon, which is right here. This one can be a little tricky because it's a bit tight. If you have a needle nose tweezer, that also comes in clutch. Alright, and it's out. And guys, this can be very tricky, but be patient and take your time. Now that all the cables are free, you have to pay attention now. You have to move the motherboard aside. Now pay attention to these clips here. You have a clip on either side of the motherboard, one there and one here, that you want to move out of the way so that you can lift up the motherboard. So what I'd advise you to do is use a thumb right here where the USB-C port is. Gently ease it up and away from those clips, and there you have it. Now pay attention as well to these two sets of black and red cables here for the rumble, right? And you're going to gently use a finger on either side here on the thumbsticks and push the motherboard up and out of the way. Now we're coming to this portion right here, this set of ribbon cables right about now. Now you're going to match these two holes with the two prongs with the two-sided tape portion facing upward and the whole thing vertical. That's about it. There it is right there. Now you're going to want to move this out of the way gently. There you go. Now we're done. We're going to be putting back the motherboard in its place. So simply turn it over very gently, very carefully. Pay attention to those black and red wires as I showed you earlier. Make sure you move all of the ribbon cables out of the way. There you go. Ensure they're all on top. Then the motherboard should more or less fall into place. And you can simply just give it a gentle push. It snaps right into place, right into these two clips here at the side. Now you're going to want to put the ribbons back in. Well, just this one for the time being, which is for the trackpad. Moving on to the next step now. Now let's begin with this portion here, which is for the L2 and L1 buttons. Now I'm going to remove this ribbon right here first. Hold it firmly yet gently. I would recommend you brace down the motherboard with a finger just to be sure. That's it. It's out. And you're going to connect this portion here, this part, right in there. I would recommend to give it a little flex here, fold it, give it a little crease so that it gets that other long bit there out of the way. And you're going to put the gold portion this way, stick it in. Next up, you're going to want to bend this over into this slot here that you see right there. Now let's take care of the R1, R2 buttons here. And you have two places for the ribbons on this side here, and this side of the motherboard is you've already removed this section. So you simply hold it like this, take your time and ease it out. Now you're going to be using this portion for the R2 and R1 buttons. You're going to want to turn the gold portion facing in for the outer part for this one. That's it. Now it's a little tight to get it into this side. So yet again, just bend this portion out of the way. Don't need it just yet. And you're going to guide this portion over. It's a bit tight. You can proceed to reattach this ribbon here, which is for the speaker. Gentle. This is all about finesse, people. That's about that. Now you're going to want to put on back the battery back plate. Pay attention to these black and red wires on either side. Very careful with those. This is a back plate. It has these protruding clips here on either side that are actually used to protect those red and black wires. So just pay attention to those, and also pay attention to the microphone ribbon as well. You're going to want that to be in the correct position, so just take your time, screw it back in. Done. Next, we're ready for the battery. You simply hold it like this, like I told you before. Stick it down like this. Of course, you can't go wrong. It only goes in one way. You're going to want to put it like this. You're going to want to hold the battery out. Simply use your finger or your thumb and just use your fingernail. This is the easiest way, and just give it a nice push. It slips right in, no problems at all. Of course, let's not forget the microphone ribbon and how to put this back in. You're simply going to line up this portion here with this little hole that you see right there. Simply going to guide it through that hole, and then it just presses right in. Simple as that. It again, gentle touch, people. And that's it. Now onto this portion here, which is the two-sided tape. You're going to, of course, remove the backing here. And you're going to want to fold it over and lay it right on top of the battery. And you just simply push it down right on top of the battery there. Next up, you're going to be connecting these two things here, which we set apart. It's pretty simple. You're simply matching things, right? You have L1, L2, R1, R2. Each one of these have these black tabs here that you need to lift up. Gently lift them. And you're going to want to take one of these. This is for the L1, L2. Line it up, stick it in. And then you're going to want to fold this over to close it. That's it. Locked in place. It's the same for the R1, R2. Simply lift that up gently. Take this, stick it right in the slot. Then you simply pull it over, close it, bam. Now they are both connected. Now I'm glad that you guys see this, right? One thing I did not do, which is best practice, is to pay attention. This should not be under this wire, so pay attention to this because I don't want to risk anything breaking. Let me move this out of the way, pull this up and over, and simply stick this back in. So I want to put this down here, and you want to feed this ribbon here through this hole here in the back plate. This thing now needs to be installed, the controller module for the extra buttons. The gold portion faces down, which is this, so ensure that you have it done correctly. Simply bend it backwards like this, push it in. Once it stops, you hold it with a finger, you hold on the locking mechanism with your thumb, and that's it. She is in place now. Next up, you get the rod and the button. This is K2, which is over here. Take your time, ensure that it doesn't hit against any of those plastic bits, and you simply use a finger and you press it in just like that. It's the same for K1. Rod, button, stick it in just like that. You line it up, press it in. There you go, all snug. Now you're going to want to affix the controller module to the back plate. Now pay attention here. You have two holes, a horizontal oval kind of hole right here and a regular circle. Follow on the back plate, you have right here a horizontal oval shape there and a circle. Now you want to stick the controller module right into this slot here and fold it over, right? That's it. But you're going to screw down the controller module here with the two small screws. And that's about it. Everything is mostly done. As you guys can hear, buttons are more or less functional already. Now this is when you close the back plate, right? So you fit the back plate over the shoulder buttons first, make sure they fit snugly in place. Then you simply hold firmly, press it down, grip it together, ensure the front ones are together as well, and you're good to go. Lastly, you're going to want to put on this, the back plate, which is also metal. It has a metal button here. This is actually the reset button, or the button to actually initiate the customization of these things. It's actually pretty cool that it's made out of metal as well. And you have this, which is pretty much the cover for the status indicator light. So you simply fit this over these two notches here. There you go. It's a nice snug tight fit. Now, because of how loose this reset button actually is, you're going to want to do this a bit upside down here. So you're going to want to put the controller over it and ensure that these clips here match up with these two sections here on the back plate. Likewise with the bottom part of it as well, below the button. You're going to want to put it over, keep it this way, then you're just going to press it in till it snaps in place, and there you go. There you have it, right? Button is pressable. It's a bit rattly, but hey, it's metal, so yeah. And the buttons are all clicky. Everything is firmly in position, everything is in place, and I love this thing. Cold to the touch. Yo, the metal buttons feel very good, very clicky, and it adds a little bit of weight, but it does make the controller feel very premium. It feels a lot more premium than the plastic one already. So next up, of course, you need to replace these 4 screws here to lock everything back together. They're all the same size, so it doesn't really matter which one you start with first. Of course, you pop on the R1 and L1 buttons, so just pop it right in. Simply line it up just like that. Fits in place. Simply press it in. There it is. Same with the L1 button. Clips, meets slot, and once you have a fit in, press it in with your thumb, and you're good to go. Alright? And last but certainly not least, getting this thing in. It can be a little bit tricky if you're not used to it, I will admit, because first of all you have to get these 2 prongs in their respective slots. Can be a bit tricky. Do not go too deep with them, because then they're going to stick and give you some issues to go in. And there you have it, people. Once you get these in, which is the hardest part of putting this thing together, guys. Like, seriously, the simplest part is the hardest part of this entire process, and the most annoying. Getting those 2 pointed parts in these holes. Yeah, everything else is a cinch compared to that. The second hardest part is, of course, pulling these corners here on a controller, but once you've done it more than once, it actually is pretty easy. I guess you break them in, but anyway, that's it. Then you simply press these down. That's it. Do a nice run around, ensure everything is in place, and that's it, guys. Fully modded PS5 DualSense controller. Now I'm going to do a quick demo with a game, show you guys how to actually customize these, show you guys how simple it is. Alright, people, and we're back here. Booted up my PS5, and here we have the controller in its completed form with now the back buttons. Now, one thing of note is a little bit of rattling here. I mean, it's really and truly this button here, the program button. Don't know why this happens, but hey, I guess it's with the metal. You don't have this issue with the plastic. Yeah, if you play around a little bit, you might hear something, but it definitely doesn't rattle or anything. What you're hearing right now is really just the buttons for the controller itself rattling around. This one feels more sturdy in that regard. Next impression, this is a lot lighter. This definitely has more weight to it with the metal buttons here. I haven't programmed anything yet. I'm going to be doing that right here live on camera. And here we have the DualSense Edge. I'm going to run a demo so you guys can see the response time as well, which as far as I see, they're the exact same, right? So starting off with the metal variant, and I'm just going to jump into some, Final Fantasy Rebirth. Let's just jump straight into this little test here, this little demo. How you program this thing. So to do this, you're going to want to hold down the program button until the LED status light comes on, as you can see there. Then you're going to want to map the buttons. Now my most frequently used buttons are X and O. X for the item and the command, and O for my dodge roll in battle. So I'm going to set K2 to X and K1 to O. So let's start this. Now the LED status light is still on. You're going to want to hold down K2 and X at the same time until it blinks rapidly. That's it. Now you're going to want to hold on K1 and O until the light flashes in succession yet again. Then you're going to want to press this button again until the status LED light turns off. It is now outside of its program state. Now I'm going to press K2. There it is. I don't want to use any spells right now, but as you guys can see, it works. And K1 for my dodge. Working perfect. As you guys can see, there's like no perceptible lag whatsoever. So this is it. This is how I use my DualSense Edge. There is no difference. Now I'm not going to lie though, people. I actually prefer the plastic version simply because of, ergonomics. It's actually lighter. It feels better in the hand. I mean, yes, the metal version does feel more premium in the hand. It tends to rattle a bit with this button. Don't know why, but that's a minor quibble. I prefer this one. Nothing is rattling. It feels lighter. I don't know, there's something about the plastic version that I just prefer. I'm light to the touch, so I mean, in terms of longevity, I don't know if anybody might fear breaking these. I don't. They feel pretty solid. And with me being so careful with my electronics, I have no doubt this will last me a very long time, probably the life of the controller itself. Now, turning on the original bad boy in the custom controller, custom Pro controller for the PS5, the DualSense Edge, same setup. There it is. Roll. Now, just so you guys can see a comparison, pressing this back button now, which is the roll for me, which is K1 on the other one, and if you guys can see any difference in the lag, I'm not gonna lie though, there is a slight difference in response time. That is something I will not deny here on camera. There is a slight difference in response time here. This is ever so slightly more reactive, like almost instantaneous. I want to switch back to the metal button now so you guys can see, right? Look at my fingers and look at the screen as I press them. Turning on the command mode is X and backing out is O, so you guys can see instantly what's happening here. Switching back to this one, which is the metal button variant, and let's see, X, X, O, O. Watch my fingers on the screen, people. So dodge roll, X, X, O, O, dodge roll, dodge roll. So that's it. There's just a slight delay. I mean, it's not game breaking for me at all. I mean, only I noticed this is because I use them side by side. And I think this is really and truly down to physics. Remember, this is an additional module housed in here that's running along another cable to the controller board, right? Versus this, where everything is built right onto the board itself. So the signals have a much shorter distance to travel. It's just physics and how electronics work. Yeah, the lag is more than likely imperceptible to most people anyway. And for the price that you're paying, remember, $70 for a brand new controller and about $40 on this. So give or take $110. The regular DualSense goes on sale very frequently, and so do these as well. The plastic variant tends to be a little cheaper than the metal variant, and really and truly this is my go-to. I prefer this one. This one feels more comfortable. Yeah, I love this one. It's lighter in the hand. It feels more ergonomic to me. My hands feel like they sweat a little bit less. I tend to like this. I like this one, and of course nothing is rattling on this one. So this is my preferred one, people. So would I recommend this over the DualSense Edge? Definitely, hell yes. $110 give or take. Could be $100, could be less. These things go on sale very frequently versus $200. If these things go on sale, it's probably a couple dollars. It's not really much of a difference anyway. You're spending half the price for, you know, something which more or less gives you a similar experience minus the adjustable triggers. Everything else is more or less the same. Yet again, yes, even though you can't exchange these without doing some work, really and truly, if you replace an entire controller, yet again, you're spending far less money. And you could even buy a new controller, rip this out, and put it in a new controller anyway. The choice is yours, and choice is always good for the consumer. So I highly recommend these. All it takes is just spend an hour or less depending on your skill level with electronics, and some quality time with a pry tool and a screwdriver, and that's it, people. I mean, really and truly, this is worth the money. It's worth the time. I highly recommend this. Yet again, ExtremeRate has done it again. I'll leave links to them in the description below so you guys can check them out. And coming up in my mod series, I'm actually going to change the entire look of this DualSense controller. I'm actually going to be doing the same with the Edge as well, but this is coming up last. I'm waiting on the parts to arrive. It's going to take a while, but look forward to that, people. So, yep, moving on in the series. Yet again, people, thanks for tuning in. You don't know, I'll appreciate a like, subscribe, and of course, hitting that little notification bell so you know when the next video is out. See you in the next one, people. Peace out and take care.